This is the Strange and Mysterious World podcast, in conjunction with Elucis TV. These are your hosts, Lee Stridham and William Collinson.
Welcome to Strange and Mysterious World, Season 5, Episode 11. We have our local guest, Renee B. She's the spiritual life coach and psychic medium, also known as Intuitive Renee. She's been on a podcast before. Fantastic to have her on again. Well,
okay, guys, so this episode is brought to you by Elucis TV, a streaming platform for beautifully produced documentaries exploring consciousness, ancient wisdom, spirituality, and the mysteries of our universe. If you enjoy the conversations we have on Strange and Mysterious World, you'll find films exploring many of these ideas on Elucis TV. Visit elusistv.com to watch. And the new film that's just coming out right now, like as we're talking, it's the newest documentary that's now available on that platform. It's called End of the World. The film explores the ancient ideas of human civilization moving through vast cycles of time known as the Yuga cycles, and that we may now be approaching the end of one of these great ages. Through the ancient texts, modern science, and interviews with researchers and spiritual teachers, the film looks at whether humanity may be entering a profound period of global transformation. And here's the trailer.
War is peace, greed is God.
The end of the world as we know it has been unfolding before us for a couple of decades.
Human civilization moves in cycles.
A great tribulation will come. One of the signs of the end times is that people are going to be rebellious. They're going to be lawless. The increase of wars will be drastic. Nation is going to rise against nation. There's going to be this battle of Armageddon. I think that we are coming towards the end.
As with any substantial change, it's tumultuous.
Men have become more and more enmeshed in material pursuits.
There are people who learned how to manifest a lot of power, a lot of wealth, who has a vested interest in keeping humanity trapped.
The light of the spirit has been getting fainter.
We do not know the difference between what is the truth and what is not the truth anymore.
It seems very clear that the end time prophecies are telling us about the passage of our earth through a swarm of comets and meteors, which brings about widespread destruction and thereby fulfills the events mentioned in the various prophecies. End of this age is near, and we need to prepare for the new age that is on the way.
And you guys can watch that on Elucis TV. The link is in the description for the platform and for the film. So please go there and check it out.
and don't forget to find us our coffees. Obviously, we don't get sponsored for the show, so it'd be great if you guys could buy us a coffee. You can find it on our YouTube webpage. There is a link at the top, which you can see when you go onto the page. But anyway, here's Renee to chat about our pendulums. Hey, how's it?
Hi.
I see you've got a nice one there. Check mine. Check mine out. Check mine out there.
Oh,
Wow.
that is so pretty. I love that. I love that. I have a few, because who wants to be limited by one when you can have a whole lot of fabulous stuff?
Wow, I love your presentation. You got the camera looking down at the desk, and you've got you on the corner there.
I thought I would be clever. I thought I would, because especially with this topic, you know, talking about pendulums, you don't really need to see me. You need to see what I'm doing so that I can do nice demonstrations and stuff. So I thought I would give it a go and see how it works.
Renee, quickly, that's that pendulum that's in the middle, that looks, that conical one. Is that the one? No, the one to your left? Yes. Is that the one where you can actually write down something or put newspaper articles and you can wrap it up and put it in? Do you know how long I've been looking for one of those?
So this one, I keep a crystal inside it.
Yeah.
And it actually came with a few of these little different crystals. So, you know, if you want to put rose quartz in or whatever, but yes, then it has a little clip. I've had this one for years. They are difficult to find.
But wait a second,
I
what
don't
is
use it very often because of its size, because as you can see, it's actually quite large.
Yeah.
But Lee, what are you saying? You want to put newspaper? What do you want to put in
Okay,
there?
so say for example, somebody gets lost, or there's a dog that's lost, or you're looking for someone, you can take a piece of their clothing and you can actually
Yes.
put it in a pendulum, and you can
Yes.
then you can dowse for it,
Yes.
and it'll find it on a map. You can like scribe for it on a map, and it will find it.
So I do that kind of thing with my pendulums already, and I don't need a strand of hair or a tooth or a whatever else it is. But I know a lot of people do that kind of thing. You also get, I don't have, but you get brass ones that also have little secret compartments. And I know people have put herbs inside, for particular protections or whatever else. So it is quite nice. Obviously, this one being, full of holes, you couldn't really put a herb or anything inside it, but you could certainly put in, a prayer, a protection, an item that belongs to the person or something like that. But yes, I use mine to put crystals inside.
I promise you, I can't find it. I've looked everywhere. For
Oh,
that.
really? If I see one, I'll certainly let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Not
know.
even on Timu.
No, I've checked on Timu and there's nothing.
So pendulums are fascinating things. I must admit, I have, this is just an odd assortment that I gathered now, just to demonstrate and to show you. But I must be honest and say, I use whatever I have around me. I would say to you, if I'm out of my home, if I am out in the world at a restaurant, at a whatever, and I need to dowse, my favorite is to use my car keys.
I heard that.
A pendulum is really anything that hangs on a weight. We attach attachment to the crystals and so on. Like this, for example, this is actually a necklace. It's one of my favorite necklaces, but it's an amethyst crystal, and obviously it's got the chakras on. So if I'm going out and I think, I might need, I will wear this, and then I use that as a pendulum by just pinching the necklace between my fingers and using it. So as long as it can swing freely, you can literally use anything. It doesn't have to be a particular kind of crystal. A lot of people think that you can only use wooden crystals wooden pendulums or crystal pendulums. And this too, this is also gosh, I can't even pick it up now. This is also just a pendant, and I've just attached a chain to it, and I use that. It is a flat-sided, so it's not completely round, which means it doesn't swing very evenly, but it still works as a pendulum. So pendulums and dowsing rods, you can literally use anything. I have a friend, she's so fascinating. I love her to bits. We go out for lunch, as an example, and she can't decide on the menu what she wants to eat. So maybe there's 2 or 3 things on the menu and she can't decide. She'll stand up, she'll stand next to the table, and she'll use her body as a pendulum to tell her which option she wants off the menu. So she'll just stand next to the table and allow herself to swing in a particular way. Okay, now she knows what she wants, and off she carries on. So we can use literally anything, as long as you're not controlling it in any way. It can be used as a pendulum, your body included.
It's so funny you say it, because I would also try to do this pendulum thing, but I was thinking, thank goodness it didn't work for me, because I wouldn't be able to make any of my own decisions anymore. It'd be like ChatGTP.
Exactly.
Like it would be like the spiritual ChatGTP. I would just be like, ChatGTP, I can't think for myself anymore. Even if I cook a meal, I'm just like, how do I do this? How do I put how many in the
Should
microwave?
I use this spice, or should I use that spice, or should I, absolutely.
So I'll just do it with a pendulum. But then I spoke to this other spiritual lady, and I said, what if I just get addicted to using this pendulum or body testing? And she says, no, that's actually good, because you actually train your intuition. So the more you do the body testing, the more that you're going to get, you're going to realize the sensations in your body, and it actually
without actually then grabbing the device.
Then eventually it just becomes automatic, and you can just kind of sense it instead of having to take out a device. So it's actually training yourself. You should actually be asking the pendulum all the time.
Exactly. So, that takes us back a step, and let's ask the question of, how does a pendulum work? Like, what is the science, if I can call it, behind a pendulum? So a pendulum is an object that swings off a rope, a chain, a whatever it may be. It is a weight attached to something that has free movement. What we're doing is we're connecting with our higher selves, with our spirit guides, with the angels, call them whatever you want to. And we're asking them to give us a straightforward this or that answer. It's literally this or that. And we're saying, give me the answer. But we are in effect receiving that answer in our physical bodies first. And then it's just coming through muscle, through whatever you want to call it, through the swinging object. So pendulums are a direct source to spirit, to receive guidance. The big problem is, the big challenge is with using a pendulum is the questions that we ask. And this is where a lot of people get caught up because, if you say, should I use this or that? Spirit don't necessarily understand the question. The question isn't clear enough. The question isn't specific enough. So we need to be very, very specific in the question we ask, because otherwise we are going to get BS answers. So I have a lot of people who will challenge me on pendulums and say, oh, but, I used my pendulum to see which vitamin I should be taking at the moment. And it told me to take that one. And my doctor said I must take something different. The question, I always go to the question. How did you word the question? What did you say? Because if your question is not clear, in the computer world, they talk about garbage in, garbage out. It's the same with pendulums and spirit, the same with dowsing. If you don't ask the question properly, you're not going to get a proper answer. And it doesn't matter what tool you use to do that.
So give us some examples of a good question.
So, for example, everybody's, the question is a psychic I get asked all the time, will I find true love? That is an awful question to ask a pendulum. Terrible question, because you will always get a yes answer. Because what defines true love? What does true love mean? And what is true love to you, to me, to the next person, all the rest of it? And true love, you might see a plant in the garden and feel this immense swelling in your heart and think, oh my gosh, it's the most beautiful flower in the world. That is true love. And, the pendulum said you will find true love, and you did, but it might not be in human form. So the question, will I find? Yeah, you've got to be incredibly specific. Incredibly. Like I honestly, when I search for animals, people, lost objects, whatever it may be, I tend to ask the same question 3 or 4 times, wording it in a different way. And then I look at the answers I get, and I look to see what is the most common, is that question worded 4 times, but am I getting the same answer 4 times? And only when I get the same answer 4 times do I take the answer as true.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you
like
can't just pick it up and say, will I win the lotto? You can't do that.
Yeah, I used to go see 4 different psychics. It cost a fortune. I wouldn't recommend this, but you see 4 psychics, and then you see, okay, well, over those 4, they kind of said
Correct.
the things
what is the common thread?
Said,
yes.
The common things they all said. Okay, I'll take that, because I've known from psychic, when you go visit a psychic, maybe only 20% of those things, well, in my experience, are okay, that actually happened. That did happen.
Correct.
They were right about that.
Yes.
And
So you have to, and this is the thing with the pendulum as well. I never just ask one question, accept one answer, and say, okay, well, there we go, I've got my answer, move on. I will ask again in a different way, and then when I think I've got the answer, I will ask. My final question will be, am I correct in saying that the answer to this question is yes or no? So I am pedantic. And it means that the whole session takes an incredibly long time, because you're backwards and forwards with all the questions all the time. But to me, I need to know in my head and in my heart that I am receiving the right answer at the right time for the right reason. Because otherwise I'm just entertaining myself and playing silly buggers with spirit. And of course I don't do that.
Mm-hmm. But it has to be a yes or no question, or not?
So basically what happens, right? When you use a pendulum, the pendulum is going to swing. And the pendulum will swing in a different way for you, depending on which spirit guide is connecting with you. So I have had some people who'll say to me, oh, my yes is always clockwise and my no is always anti-clockwise. And I disagree with that, because yes, for a long time that might be true, but maybe now you're doing something different with your pendulum. Maybe now you're working with health issues. So you may have a different spirit guide that's stepping forward to help you. And that spirit guide may be left-handed and may therefore swap around the yes and the no. So typically your answers will be yes or no. And then there is sometimes a I don't know, a reframe the question, or you don't need to know the answer right now. So I call that the question mark answer. So what I do is when I start a pendulum session, the first thing I do is to ask, the first question I ask, is somebody available to assist me right now? So by somebody, I am referring to spirit, right? Is somebody available to assist me right now? Then I say, show me a yes. And I'll wait for it to show me yes. And then I will say, is clockwise my yes today? Because it's only in this moment that it's valid and appropriate. Then I'll say, show me a no. And by the way, after each question, once I've seen the spin, I say, thank you. I give gratitude. And I also ask the pendulum to stop. After every question, when I've seen the swing, the direction of the swing, I will say, thank you, stop. And then I will ask the next question. So I will say, show me a yes. I will verify the yes, say, is the yes this way? I will then say, show me a no, and I will verify the no. Then, because like I'm still not 100% sure, so then what I do is I will say to spirit, is my name Will? So I'm asking a question where I know the answer is a no, and I need to see a no answer. Then I will ask a question where I know the answer is yes, and I need to verify that I'm getting that. Then I will ask, is this a good time to do a reading around this situation for this person about whatever it is? And only then, once I'm convinced that everything is okay and that I have understood the spirit and the way the pendulum's working, only then will I go into asking the questions. But at that point, I need to have my questions written down. I need to have my full list of questions, because what I do then is I sit with my pendulum and I rapid fire go through my questions. And I just write down yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no next to each question as I'm going, without lifting my hand, without swapping the pendulum, without anything. And then I analyze the data. So it's almost like we're becoming, programmers here. We analyze the data in order to get the answers that we're looking for. So I do tend to be quite complex in the way that I work with the pendulum. But it's the only way that I can be sure that I'm receiving helpful information.
So Renee, just a quick one. A lot of people say when you're dealing with pendulum, there's two sides of the story. There's actually a third, but there's two sides of the thing. The way that people say, no, you're dealing with the spirit realm, and there's other people that say, no, it's coming from the subconscious mind. However, they're actually both the same thing, because the subconscious of the human being is in the spirit world. Yes. So you are dealing with the spirit, whether you think you're not. If you believe you're dealing with the subconscious is part of the astral realm of the spiritual world. So you are correct.
Yeah. And that being said, you have to practice politeness and respect and all of those other things that go along with that. Yes.
Yeah, correct. And now, obviously, this tradition, as far as I know, actually dates back to ancient Egypt and ancient China, where they were using these, these things. I think they had wood.
Yeah, I think dowsing rods started. They used Y rods, Y branches to find water.
Yeah. Now, from what I know and from what I've learned, when you're busy using a pendulum, you have to keep your elbow on the table. There are people that say they can stand and do it, but I find that if you keep your elbow on the table where there's no movement, and you kind of shift your hand slightly forward, you can't, there's very little chance of you actually moving it. And if you keep it dead still, it works. Yes. I've used it quite often, and look, the first couple of times I did the questions, I got like a 50-50. I got 50% correct and 50% wrong. But again, questions, I wasn't being specific. But what was quite amazing is when you're holding this thing up, and I said to her, okay, is this yes or no? I said, is this, if you go clockwise, is it yes? And it will go clockwise. I said, okay, fine. If it's no, is it anti-clockwise? I'll go anti-clockwise. And then they say, if it's unknown, it will like kind of swing in the middle.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's
kind of
the in between. Yes.
That was my in between. Yeah. But
Maybe.
but then it was like I asked a question and my hand was dead still, but this thing swung.
Oh, really?
Like
Okay.
round,
Okay.
which meant really
Okay.
yes, whatever that's
Okay.
I can't remember the question.
So it's like
That
shouting
was,
at you.
It was
that was
like, but I was
definitely
like,
the spirit world.
yeah, but
that
I'm
was a
looking
call-
at my
yeah.
hand, I'm thinking, how the don't want to swear there, but how the hell did it move? It's such a wide
Correct.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It
Yeah.
could have been small here,
Yeah.
small there, but this thing moved at one hell of a pace. I was like, okay. All
So
right.
I find when I'm working with the pendulum and asking questions, my movements are not big circles or big swings. Sometimes it can be very subtle, but when
Yes.
I'm doing healing on a person, so if I have somebody physically lying on the table in front of me and I'm going through their body and I'm finding blockages and I'm asking it to clear blockages, because a pendulum can be used for that, that's when I get the big swings.
Okay.
So for me, but then I'm working with a different spirit entity, you see, and the spirit entity might be somebody who's a little bit bigger in their energy and maybe a bit more powerful in transmitting energy through the pendulum. So that might be why the swing is bigger. But I find like when I'm looking for lost objects, people, or animals, I find my swings are very, very subtle, very gentle. But I think it's because it is such an emotional thing that I'm doing. And because of that, we don't want to have big, elaborate kind of things, because then it just doesn't seem to be from the heart, if I can put it that way. And also, I do think it depends on the spirit guide that you're working with. Yes. So I want to just say, like, this little thing. This little thing actually came with this miniature singing bowl that I got off Temu. And let me tell you, it is the most precious thing, but I use this on my desk all the time as my pendulum. So this is just a little brass bally attached to a rope. So I use this as my pendulum. So what I want to show you quickly is different ways of holding a pendulum, because some people say, oh, pendulums just don't work for them. So like I saw you doing, Lee, you were holding yours by the end. Okay. So by the little.
No, normally I fold it over. So normally if I've got
do you fold it over your finger?
I'll fold it over the finger, yeah.
Okay, like that. Okay. So that's my go-to, is literally folding it over the finger. Okay. So I fold it over the finger like that. But I don't allow, even though this one is a fairly short rope, I don't like a lot of rope. I don't like a lot of hanging. But I will say to you that the more rope you have, the more the pendulum can swing. Okay. So that also does influence how wide of a swing you get. Like this one of mine, this chain is like ridiculously long. Okay. This chain, there's far too much chain there. So what I do with that is I put all the chain into my palm, close it, and I keep quite a short chain and I just let it hang that way. Or I just pinch the chain between my fingers and allow it to move in that way. Okay. So just back to the elbow on the table thing. So I find like the table I'm sitting at right now is actually fairly low. So to give you an idea, it's sort of in line with my belly button. My elbow doesn't reach my belly button. Okay. So that means I'm going to have to do this on the table, which isn't comfortable. So I don't prescribe, if I can call it, to having my elbow on the table, but I am very conscious of whether I am moving my hand or whether spirit is moving my hand. So because I will say to you that I am still very much a skeptic, and I need validation and confirmation that it is not me. So if I suspect that my hand has moved the pendulum, I will stop and I will start the entire process again. But if putting your hand on the table gives you that confidence to know that you are not moving your hand, then that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But for me, I don't have to lean on the table in order to do that. But yes, for some people, that's what they need. And, if we look at dowsing rods, which really are just pendulums, aren't they? Because you start with it straight, and then a yes is either open and a no is typically crossed closed. But that you do while walking or standing in front of a person to measure auras or whatever it might be. So that is also a pendulum. It's just a different form of pendulum. But for here, you can't put your elbows on the table. So, elbows on the table is good, but you can do it honestly without having your elbow on the table.
Renee, just for people that have never seen a dowsing rod, can you just show them how that works?
So what I have is two, I'm going to call it pieces of wood. They have little holes in them. And then we have this metal L-shaped, I don't know, stick, dowsing rod.
You can make it out of a coat hanger.
Anything out of a coat hanger. The only thing that makes it a pendulum, a dowsing rod, is the fact that this rod, now that I have put it into the hole, it can freely swing. So
but then also, you don't have to have the wooden things. You can do it with your hands.
Plastic.
Plastic. So if you use it with your hands, you are typically holding it tight so it can't swing freely.
Yeah.
So if you're holding it,
you can do. I've seen people do it without those wooden things, but the wooden things are better, right?
You know what? They probably do have something. They might not have wooden. They might have a PVC pipe. PVC pipe works as well. So it's really just so that the rod has free movement. The trick with the dowsing rod, though, is you have to hold your hand completely parallel, completely straight. If you have your hand, and I'm going to just aim it down so that you can see, if you have your hand at a slight angle, obviously the rod is going to bend in that direction. If you tilt your hand that way, the rod bends that way. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the idea is you've got to hold your hand completely level and completely still. Now, do you see what it's done? It's caught on my finger there. So you're not going to get an accurate answer. So you need to hold it fairly low down so that when it swings all the way around, but right now I'm tipping my whole hand forward, and then it's moving. So you've got to make sure that it has complete freedom to move whichever way it wants to. And also, I will say to you, dowsing rods in particular are very susceptible to EMF energies. Okay, electromagnetic fields. So like right now I'm sitting in front of a computer, it's giving off EMF. So dowsing rods are very sensitive to that. Dowsing rods are fabulous for finding water, finding energy lines, ley lines under the ground, all those kind of things. But you've got to make sure that you're holding it completely still, that it has free movement. Now, in the olden days, when
you have to hold both of them. You have to hold both of them?
You can, yes. So you typically would hold, if I pick that one up, so when you start, you aim them, and I'm resting on the table right now, okay, just so that you can see clearly. When you start, you typically put your thumb on, you start with them facing forward, and then when you release the thumb, they should then ask your question, and they should move open or closed in whatever way they want to. So I'm not asking any questions right now, which is why mine aren't swinging, but I have got them firmly on the table, and there you can see the ones moved, okay? But I am wiggling a little bit because I'm talking and my hands are going and the table's wobbling and all the rest of it. But you start, you have the two, you generally keep them, I'm going to call it like shoulder width apart, okay, apart. So you don't want to hold it like that, because you want to hold them fair distance apart from each other when you are walking or measuring or doing anything, so that they can swing. They must be able to cross. So if they're too far apart, you're not going to get across. But you don't want too close together either. So generally shoulder width apart, hold it straight up, and then you ask your questions. And that will probably be no most of the time. And that would be a yes answer.
The people that are not watching the video, if it crosses, it's a no, and if they swing open, it's a yes.
Most of the time with dowsing rods, most of the time, but you always have to check. So again, in the olden days, when they used a piece of wood that was shaped in a Y, they would hold the two pieces and they would leave the tail of the Y, if I can call it, was their pointy bit, and they were feeling for a down or an up vibration or pull. So they would hold the two piece and the tail would be the pointy bit, and that would pull up or down as the yes or the no. Here is the water. Here is the thing that you're looking for. Here is the ley line, the energy line. So that's also, because there you actually feel that sensation of pulling you down, even though you're holding the piece of wood.
Yeah, and you can you hold them down at your hips, like your
correct
while you're walking.
So with dowsing rods as well, yes, I generally keep my elbows into my body. I keep my elbows into my body, but not tight, not stiff. That is one thing. With using a pendulum or with using dowsing rods, if you are stiff in the way that you are holding the string, even though you're not holding the actual swinging object itself, you're just holding the string. But if you have got your fingers turning white because you're holding so tight, you're putting that energy into the pendulum. So it needs to be very gentle, subtle. That's why when you hold it over your finger, you're not holding so tightly, you're giving it the opportunity to move freely.
Is it recommended that you have something specific? So like if you're using a pendulum for healing as an example, would you use that same pendulum again for maybe finding something, or do you prefer to have a separate pendulum to do separate jobs?
So I personally, I have my brass, I haven't put it out here tonight, but my brass pendulum is in what I call my go bag. My go bag is my emergency bag when I'm going to someone's house to cleanse a space, a person, some kind of an emergency thing. I use the brass only because it's little, it's quite hardy, it's not going to get damaged. This particular one here, which is just a clear quartz one. You can see how rusted my chain is. This was my very first pendulum I ever got. And I think I got this one, I don't want to lie to you if I say to you it was 30 something years ago. And this is my go-to, right? This is my favorite, but it's chipped, it's damaged, it's a little bit, it's been through the wars, right? It's worn.
Do you think you've had it for 30 years? Because every time you lose it, you just use another pendulum to find it. I don't think I've ever had a first time anything and actually still have that, because I've lost everything of the first one I ever got, of everything.
I will tell you that this pendulum actually disappeared for about 5 years. Like actually for 5 years, I couldn't find it. And no matter what I did, I could not find it. And then all of a sudden, one day, it suddenly randomly appeared. The same with this one. So this one's got an interesting story, right? So this is just a pendant, right? This is just a pendant you buy at the shops. And I was wearing it on this same black rope or whatever you want to call it. And I had a smash and grab at the traffic lights, at the robots. And they stole this off my neck. And I was devastated because, I just absolutely love this amethyst. I really do. It is just such a beautiful thing. And it was stolen. It was gone. I was devastated. I had scratches on my neck. I had kids in the car. They saw the guy run off with my pendulum, with my
So wait, you smashed the window of the car and grabbed it off your neck?
Actually, I had the window open, to be honest.
What doing that?
I actually had the window open of the car, to be honest with you. So he didn't have to smash anything, but he literally just stuck his hand in, grabbed it off my neck, and he ran off. But he took it. It went away with the bad person. He stole my prized possession. And again, it must have been about 2-3 years later. Miraculously, I found it again. It came home.
What?
It came home. Like, true story. You can ask my children. True story. They were in the car. They saw him snatch it. And I found it. I can't even remember where I found it, but it wasn't in the car. It did not find it in the car. I found it in the house somewhere, whatever. And I was traumatized. I had scratches across my neck and everything, and it came back home to me. So I do believe that our crystals, they have a job and they work their job. They do what they need to do. So going back to the question about, do I use different pendulums for different things? If I'm doing healing on a physical body, I will use this one because I can put the crystals inside. And obviously the crystals aid the healing, the work that I'm doing. If I'm sitting at my desk here, this one, as I say, it's always right here on my desk. So if I'm, on a call with a client and I need to ask something, boom, I grab this one and I do whatever I need to do. If I'm doing work of finding lost animals, people, or objects, this is typically my workhorse, my go-to. And the pendulum, and the dowsing rods, I only really use if I'm out of the house looking for, measuring energy of some kind outside of the house, then I will use my dowsing rods.
But also, Renee, when you're doing the healing, you said that you're over the body and it swings so big. Like,
yes.
Isn't it the energy of the person's, like the vortexes also, of their chakras or whatever, swinging it for you or something?
Correct. So what I do is I hold the pendulum, say, for example, over their heart chakra, and I will say to spirit, show me the current state of this chakra, of this heart chakra. And then I look to see the swing. And if I'm getting a clockwise swing, and I know the heart chakra goes anti-clockwise, I know we got a problem, kind of thing, Or what I'll do is I'll hold the pendulum over the heart chakra, and I will say to spirit, balance this chakra and stop spinning when you're done. So then I will get the big swing that will come through, and I just hold until the pendulum stops swinging, and then I know, right, then I'll say, is this chakra balanced? And I get my yes or no answers again.
And if
then
it's like
I'll move on to the next one.
And if it's an X, it just goes really cold and turns into a lump of coal and falls down.
And smashes them hard.
Renee,
So the
tell
other
me.
thing I do, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, tell me, they say that when you're doing, and you can maybe verify this, but they say when you're doing this pendulum work, you shouldn't wear watches, you shouldn't wear glasses, you shouldn't wear metal necklace, you shouldn't have anything metal on you. Is that confirmation?
So I'm not a big jewelry wearer ordinarily, but I do have a Pandora bracelet with all sorts of things on it. I don't take that off. And I don't know, what is this considered? Stainless steel? I don't know. I don't take it off. And I do use my pendulum in my left hand. So I use pendulum in both left and right hand. So again, when I've written out all my questions, I am right-handed. So I will hold the pendulum in my left hand, pen in my right hand, and like I said, I rapid fire go through my questions, and I'm literally writing yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I don't move this hand at all. And I have, there's all sorts of things on my Pandora bracelet. So but I have, in previous times when I have taught pendulum workshops to people, there have been ladies, ladies, I suppose gents as well, they wear all of these crystal bracelets. They have like a whole wad of, the different crystal bracelets. And I have seen those interfere with using a pendulum. Like I've had people where the pendulum is just swinging all over the place, or what I call getting the shakes, where the pendulum just shivers like this. And it's because there's too much energy around the pendulum. Spirit can't actually move it. So then I'll say to them, take off your jewelry, take off your watch, take off everything, and see if it's better. So I do think, in answer to your question, Lee, I do think it depends on the person's energy field, what they're wearing, and how they react to what it is that they're wearing.
So guys, if you were listening to this, if you're totally naked and you're 100 kilometers away from any cell phone tower, you're going to get the best answers.
There we go. Because then there's no interference at all. Then there's no interference at all. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But could your emotions not interfere? So say, for example, because I know they say that you shouldn't really be doing this stuff when you emotionally charge,
attached to the outcome. Yes.
Yeah. So because that will affect it as well. So yeah, even if you're naked, you've got to be the right person.
So with regards to your own emotional, mental state of mind, like for example, when it comes to finding lost human beings that have been kidnapped, abducted, missing, whatever it may be, it's an emotional situation. Finding somebody's lost pet, it's an emotional situation. So you do have to keep your emotions in check, because no matter how strong you are, no matter how much checking in and asking the relevant questions you put into it, it's very easy for your emotions to influence the answers. So again, it's why I write down all my questions beforehand, do all the prep, check, is this the right time? Will I get accurate answers at this time? Will I get answers that will be helpful to whoever at this time? And once I've got all those yeses, only then do I, and again, it's why I rapid fire. So I don't allow myself to become emotionally invested in what I'm doing. Because as soon as you are emotionally invested, you're attached to the outcome. Ego can and will step in and get involved. And when you're doing pendulum work, you can't have ego. You can't it's going to help me pick lotto numbers. You can't do that.
So you got to have a blank mind. You got to be like in a meditative mind.
You've got to be, you've got to be a conduit. And I don't know if the last time I was on your guys' channel, whether I mentioned about the pipe, a PVC pipe. It doesn't care if it's filtering, if it's flowing, if it's got water flowing through it, or if it's got effluent flowing through it. It doesn't care. It's doing its job. It's being a pipe. And this is what we as human beings, whether you're doing pendulum work or whether you're doing psychic work, you need to be the pipe. You are just the conduit for spirit.
So do you have to meditate before you do it?
I'm bad at meditating. Well, I'm bad. So no, I don't. But I do practice protection, energy protection and things like that. And again, the way that I start my sessions, I'm also ensuring that whatever beings or energies come through are only those that come in, love and light and kindness, not those that come in other ways.
What are your thoughts on, so when I first got my pendulum, I carried it on me for 2 weeks. It was in my pocket. I slept with it on my pillow. It was literally for 2 weeks. It was just everywhere I went, I had this thing with me. That was just to build up my energy with the
absolutely
thing.
And especially because yours is a crystal pendulum, you want the energy of the pendulum to recognize and to be comfortable with your energy, and you want your energy field to recognize and be comfortable with the pendulum's one. So absolutely, like, I don't think you have to, so if somebody's listening and goes, oh my gosh, I didn't do that, I don't think it's a must do, but I do certainly think it is helpful. Because, your energy field, the pendulum needs to be aware of your energy field so that your energy doesn't, again, negatively or incorrectly influence the answers.
But you also remember now the pendulum, and this is my thought, reasoning behind it. The pendulum that you've purchased from whoever may have been touched by that other person,
Correct.
which has now transferred their energy onto
Correct.
that specific thing. So enabling it to become my pendulum, I need to install my energy. So that's kind of why I did that.
But that's like the same as if you buy crystals. If you buy a crystal, it doesn't matter what crystal it is or whatever. If you pick up a crystal off the side of the road, or if you buy one from a shop, it has had interaction with other human beings or animals, before. So in order for it to work properly with you, you do need to do the cleansing. So like if you've got, for example, I don't know the energetic properties of brass. So I don't know if brass absorbs energy. I know wood does. I know crystals do, but also metal doesn't. So I think it determines it if you're using a non-natural thing as a pendulum, you don't have to do that. So for example, my car keys. Yes, my car keys are on my person quite often and quite regularly. But I mean, I can pick up your car keys off the table. If we're out to lunch, I can pick up your car keys and I can accurately use it as a pendulum and get good answers because of the system and the process that I go through.
So how do you clean the crystal ones or the other ones that absorb the energy? How would you clean it?
Salt and moonlight.
Well, like
sunlight soap.
No, sun. Actual sun. So you can use the light, you can use moon, you can use the sun, you can use all of those kind of things. If you are an energy healer, you can use your Reiki symbols, you can just pray over them. Everything in spirit that we do is really and truly comes down to setting intentions, isn't it? A lot of spirit work is just setting intentions and allowing those intentions to be true and to be accurate. So as long as your intentions are for good outcomes, I definitely think you will. And as long as your object, so like if you're doing a pendulum reading for yourself and you're asking like, is my partner having an affair? Is my partner being unfaithful? Does my mother-in-law love me? Blah, blah, does my mother-in-law cause trouble? Like if you're asking those kind of questions, you are going to get BS answers from a pendulum, no matter how much protection and what kind of pendulum and whatever you use, because spirit don't care about those kind of questions. Like those questions are not going to really impact your life in any way, because you're not going to believe whatever answer you get because you're fixated on a human experience. So this is again why we have to disconnect the ego from what we're doing.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm not sure if you perhaps know this realm. I'm going to ask it anyway. With the pendulum, so you've got your natural pendulums, which are your wood, your
wood crystal and
your crystals, all your natural
metals,
stuff that you find, and then you've got your metals, which are your unnatural things.
Yes.
Do you think it is possible that when you are using the crystal or the natural thing, you're actually tapping into the elemental spirits, the spirits that kind of are earthbound, if you want to talk that way, because crystal
I do think it is possible. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I do think it is possible. I don't think it happens automatically. I don't think it's an automatic process. But if you have a wooden pendulum and you want to use it to connect with that realm, absolutely, you could do that, because obviously being a natural object, it is easy for that object to pick up the energies, to connect with the energies, and then again to use you as a conduit. So I do believe that is possible, yes. But I don't believe that it happens automatically. So if you happen to have one of those natural type of crystals, because I mean, again, if we look at your crystal, Lee, your pendulum that you've got the Merkaba, and the Merkaba's got metal on it, and your crystal is man-shaped. It's not a natural shaped crystal. So, that opens up a whole nother conversation around what's better as far as crystals go, one shaped by man or one shaped naturally in nature. So, and then I believe that if something is shaped by man, it loses its power, it loses its true abilities, but it doesn't mean that it's useless. It certainly does. But in shaping the object, has created intention for what that crystal needs to be used for, and that is also very powerful. That is also really positive. So the Merkaba crystals that you see, Merkaba is a vessel for spiritual connection. We're saying this piece of crystal is going to have this added function, this added purpose. Then yours has now been made into a pendulum. So that pendulum is going to act as a vessel to transport you to other places, realms, and understandings. So it makes sense that's why a lot of crystal pendulums are shaped in the same way that yours is.
Okay, cool.
So now I read this book that said, or about dowsing and pendulum, and it said, firstly, you have to be really well hydrated.
Yes.
And then secondly, it also said that if you're getting, you discussed this earlier, but it said that if you're getting yes all the time, clockwise yes is usually your yes.
Your go-to yes.
Or the next day or whatever, it's suddenly your yes switches. You got to hit yourself in the chest 3 times.
Oh my gosh, no, please don't do that.
Not like hard, just like hit yourself like this, 3 times on the chest. And I just wanted to know if that's a thing.
So I've never hit myself in the chest.
Yeah.
What I think it is, again, I do believe that you can program a crystal to work in a particular way. Okay, so if you have programmed your crystal that you want clockwise for yes, anti-clockwise for no, and suddenly it's doing something different, maybe the hitting yourself on the chest is doing some kind of a neurolinguistic programming reset to reset the pendulum. But that's why I believe that the pendulum changes direction if you're working with a different spirit guide. That is my belief. So if your yes is always clockwise and your no is always anti-clockwise, then suddenly one day it's different. You may have a new spirit guide that's coming through. And maybe it's just for that moment, that use of the pendulum. Maybe it's a permanent thing. You are going to have to figure it out over the next couple of times that you use your pendulum. So to me, that's why if I use the pendulum 5 times in one day for 5 different things, I will each time show me a yes, show me a no. Is my name Renee? I will do that every single time because the circumstances behind the use are different. Therefore, I may have a different guide coming through. And the guide may have preference for something different to me. Because remember, the pendulum is acting as the middle between us and spirit. It's the way for spirit to communicate with us. So we can't tell spirit what we want. I think we can through programming, but you need to then program for each spirit guide that comes through. And you don't know if it's a new spirit guide that's come through.
And you should ask the pendulum.
Yes.
But the hydration thing,
Yes.
Is that a thing? I mean, have you ever tried when you're really thirsty?
Well, as you've seen, I'm forever sipping on water. I mean, it's my go-to, it's my thing. But I do think if you are physically dehydrated, everything in you is tight. Everything in you is shriveled up. Everything in you is tense. And as I said, as far as when it comes to holding a pendulum and working with a pendulum, softness and looseness and flowing is important. So I do think from that point of view, hydration is important. But in saying that, I have worked with a pendulum before when I have been so hungry that my stomach has been growling and I have had a terrible read. Because as much as I'm focusing and like, no, well, let me just do this, then I'll go and have lunch or whatever it may be. My energy was now consumed. My stomach, my body was focused on the empty tummy and focused on trying to find fuel that I could not get an accurate connection to spirit to get the answers I needed. So I do think hydration and, food is important. But again, if you have just eaten a huge big meal, you've just eaten steak, egg, and chips and whatever else, your body is heavy. Your energy of your body is heavy because now it's digesting. So there is that kind of finding a happy medium between all of it.
I mean, do you have to be grounded, or do you, I mean, because that would ground you, right? Or do you
Yes.
have to try and be, you have to be grounded?
You have to be grounded. Because again, it's a human experience. You know, even though we're connecting to spirit, we still are doing the human thing. Pendulums are human things. So we do have to always be grounded and protected and all of that kind of.
So you reckon you have to take off your shoes? So like when you at dinner with your friend that has to ask her body every time.
She doesn't take her shoes off. She doesn't take her shoes off. You know what? You can ground with shoes on. You can ground if you're on the 10th floor of a building. You can still ground yourself, even though you're not actually touching earth. So again, it's about the intention. It's about the visualization. It's about the energetic grounding connection and not about the physical, because we can't always go stand outside in the sand, you know.
Because they say there's a difference. There's a difference between grounding and earthing. Like
Correct,
one's like a release of the energy, and the other one's like I don't know, whatever.
Yes, metaphorical. Yes. So when like I teach people how to develop themselves psychically, and my mentorees that I have at the moment, I teach them grounding, and I teach them that no matter where you are, like right now I'm on the 2nd floor of my home, and where I'm sitting in the office, I don't have floor. I mean, I've got floor beneath my feet, but I don't have ground. There's the whole bottom floor of the house first, then there's ground. But if I visualize the roots going out of my feet, going into the earth, I am grounding and anchoring myself there. I don't physically have to be on the ground. One of my students, she works in a corporate building, and she's up on I don't know what floor she is, but she's a few floors up, and she grounds quite perfectly. You can also do it when you're driving in your car. You know, you can anchor yourself and ground yourself energetically, even if you're in a moving vehicle.
Oh, yes, because so the one is because your body's a battery, because it's all the electricity in your nervous system and the water, whatever, that if you touch the earth, that's called earthing, then you immediately release the current,
energy,
and the grounding is when you try and bring yourself back from the fairies.
Back to the present moment, to the here and the now. So when we talk about energetically grounding, we are connecting to the present moment, becoming conscious of this space in this time, because that's the only place spirit live. Spirit don't live in yesterday. Spirit don't live in tomorrow. Spirit live in this moment right here, right now. That's where spirit exists. So if we're not in the present moment, how can you connect to spirit? You can't.
Beautifully said. Lee, what you got there, man?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think also with the earthing thing, that's why there's a lot of therapy, you know, when people are stressed and, you know, it's become such a problem in their minds with whatever's going on. It's always that people always say, best therapy, go out, go away for the weekend, go somewhere where there's a lot of trees, go into the forest, go and walk.
And just connect to the simple life. Yes.
And when when your feet are touching the sand, that it just releases all that shit that's in you.
It does.
And that's why people feel a lot better. Yeah. So I think
Rub auras with the tree.
There we go. I'm a tree hugger. I'm that person who's going to go and put her arms around the tree and just love the daylights out of it. I love trees.
It's weird though. The one day I went to it was in the Berg somewhere. I can't remember which hotel place we were staying, and they had this. You could walk out into the gardens. They had this little thing onto the lake. There was a tree, one of these big weeping willows, and it was on this island that took up most of this little island. And I went and sat under this tree. I closed my eyes probably for about half an hour. I didn't open my eyes, but the peace and calm, I can't even explain. It was like, and when I opened my eyes, the mist had rolled in, which I hadn't noticed, and everything was just, it looked like I was in Silent Hill, you know that movie? It was just
you didn't get a fright. You were like, fuck, I've meditated myself into heaven.
I didn't get a fright. I was actually in awe. I was like, oh wow, because I remember seeing the sun. It was pretty hot, and then when I opened my eyes, it was just gray, and everything was just like,
oh no, that's phenomenal. I love
blanket
that.
And mist. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. I want to show you guys with regards to the pendulums, just a few things. These are ones that I created 1,000 years ago. I had to go scratching and digging to bring them up, but this is nice when it comes to working with the pendulum, just how to use it on a day-to-day basis for your own peace of mind, your own whatever it is. So for example, we were talking about crystals. So I created this chart. So this is what I call a pendulum chart, right? And you can see I've got whatever I chose the crystals. It's what I thought were common, what I thought was popular. I tried to color it to be the same color as the crystals. But pendulum charts are really nice to work with pendulums, because all you do, and if I lie it flat, we're going to get glare. So I'm just going to hold it at a slight angle. But basically, to use it, you hold the pendulum over the center as such. But obviously, if I hold it there, we're not going to see amethyst down here or rose quartz. So you need to hold it sort of at this point. And what I do with these kind of charts is I start the circle, right? I start the swing, and then I keep my hand still, and I'll ask, what gemstone is right for me right now? What gemstone is right for me right now? And I allow the pendulum to choose. I'm allowing spirit to choose. So you can see it's sort of searching, it's seeking, it's searching, it's seeking.
It's going to go between rose and the other one. Rosen?
Yeah.
No.
That's
the tree.
You know, Renee.
No, I don't know. Quartz. It's like moving around.
It's still searching. It's still searching.
It's still
right.
choosing.
But you know, when I did this dowsing course, this guy was showing me, like, he had a whole book, and it's actually a proper dowsing book. You can buy it from, I don't know, the Institution of Dowsing, whatever, the big one. And it has all of the diseases in it. It has all of what kind of causes, and you hold your rods, and it's phenomenal, because the rods go to like where the diseases and then all the different cures, and like how.
And it's exactly the same with these.
That's
so
amazing.
Like, I've got a gemstone one. I created how do I strengthen a connection with my higher self? So all the different things that you can do in order to do that. And, you know, you could do this every morning, you know, like today,
so
how do I strengthen my connection with my higher self? You're asking your higher self, how do I strengthen my connection with you? And again, you keep the pendulum here, and it will swing, and you will be able to. And then what I do, like if it goes to give love, I will say, is give love what you are saying? I will verify and confirm. Another one I have.
And just for people that are not watching this, it's like it's a chart with.
It's a half circle, yes.
I mean, how would you explain that? Like with little.
So it's a half circle divided into pie slices, into pieces of cake.
Can we, Renee? I'm going to ask you a question. Can we? Will you allow us to upload that onto our site?
You know what? I actually went looking before this for my copies, digital copies of my computer, and I couldn't find them. If I find them, Lee, I will gladly share with you.
Well, so then obviously can't they find it on your internet, on your website? On your internet? On your website?
No, I don't have these on my website. Like I said, these are so old. So look at this one that I have here. It's called Spirit Communication. Starting on the left, we've got the words full stop, and then we've got the alphabet. Wow. And then on the other side, we've got a space.
Oh, wow. So it's like a Ouija board.
Yes. A Ouija board is a pendulum. It's a pendulum.
Well, that's a strong one. That one goes straight to the other side.
Right.
Straight to hell, man.
But I have
that's
used
where you get
this
like
one.
Attachments of them.
I have used this one very, very successfully to receive, maybe not a whole A4 page of words, but to receive a name, to receive and I will tell you where I had huge success with this particular chart. I was asked to find an elderly couple who had been abducted from their home in rural part of South Africa. And I was using maps and map coordinates, and I was now doing everything I could. And I was struggling because of the rural names of places and stuff like that. And Spirit were talking to me, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. So I pulled this out, and Spirit actually clearly spelt the name of the place where, sadly, the human remains were found that were actually linked to the couple. So this is fabulous. And like I say, it's just ABC all the way to the end, and that works quite nicely. Another one I have, which is cool, quite fun. So I don't know if you're into ruins. So ruins are, divination system again. So what I've done is I've put the English names of the ruins, not the all the other names. Not the Nordic names. I put the English names. And again, you hold your pendulum here. Your pendulum will choose what rune do you need today. And then on the back, I've got meanings and interpretations for each of the runes. So if your pendulum went to standstill, you would come through and read what it says for standstill. And that could be a message for you for daily guidance or dealing with a particular problem. And I also did one with tarot.
Oh wow, that's so cool, man.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So a lot of people,
Jeez.
when starting out with pendulums, will use a chart like this. So this chart,
Okay, that's
so
cool.
this chart gives you instructions on how to hold the pendulum, how to program the pendulum, and how to ask questions, right? And then here, you work it in the same way. You hold your pendulum here, and this says, don't want to answer, and that says ready. So when you program this particular one, the pendulum will swing ready when spirits are ready for you to ask your question. Yes is straight up and down. No is that way. And that angle is don't want to answer.
Jeez.
Spirit will say don't want to answer when they don't understand the question, or you don't need the answer at this time. So that's also a nice one for people who are starting out and trying to figure out, how to use it.
That's very cool.
So that one doesn't swing circular. That one swings up and down, left and right. And then that's your ready and that's your don't want to answer. So pendulum charts, I have got pendulum charts with all the essential oils, with the flower essences, with all sorts of things. So medically, you can use a pendulum to really and truly pick natural medications and remedies, all sorts of things like that. There's so much that you can do with the pendulum. I think they should teach this in school.
That's amazing. Like, I'm really so happy because, to tell you the truth, when Lee said that let's do one on pendulums, I was like, dude, I was just thinking, well, I didn't say it out loud to him, but I was like, that's going to be like a 5-minute podcast because you just like hold the thing and it go, like you can.
And it swings left, right, or whatever.
But this is amazing. Those charts, that's really cool. I can't wait to print them.
And you don't have to have printed charts like mine. You can literally draw it on a piece of paper. So think of it, as I say, slices of a cake, but you only have half the cake because you've eaten the other half already. So it's the top half of the cake. You divide it into however many options you have. So if, for example, you've got tissue salts. Tissue salts are, I think we've all got tissue salts in our cupboards, in our medicine cupboard somewhere. And you want to know, what tissue salt do I need to take right now? You could have the tissue salt numbers, and the pendulum can help you to choose the tissue salt numbers.
Because you could also put food there and say, like,
there
is this food good for me? Or like,
there we go. And again, that question, William, is, so let's say, for example, I have got beetroot, I have got cabbage, and I've got chocolate, right? Beetroot, cabbage, and chocolate. Those are my options. And I want to know which of these 3 items I need to eat, I should eat right now. You can't just ask the pendulum, is this good for me? Is this good for me? Is this good for me? You need to ask the pendulum, which is this good for me now? Does my body need this now? Again, very, very specific with your question. Otherwise, you're not going to get an accurate answer.
Yeah.
So you can't just say, should I eat the cabbage, or should I eat the this, or should I eat the that? You need to ask, does my body need it now? And if I'm doing a pendulum session for another person, I will say, like, let's say I'm asking a question for Lee. Does Lee need to eat this cabbage right now for his benefit? Like, you have to be very, very specific in your questions. If people say to me, oh, my pendulum doesn't work, I don't get, the problem is with the question, not with the pendulum. And like I say, anything can be used as a pendulum. I don't believe one type of pendulum works better than any other. I really don't. It is a personal thing. But, if you like your pendulum for whatever reason, that's great. Like I say, this is my ride or die. This is my absolute go-to, especially when finding people, objects, and whatever else. I mean, you can see it is so old and so rusted, but this is my absolute go-to. But sitting at my desk, this little thing is just absolutely genius. And I mean, it's literally rubbish.
So
it is literally rubbish, but it works so well because it's got a short chain. I literally just hold it, ask the questions, let it do its thing, and off I go. Simple.
Sweet.
Simple.
Awesome, man. That was great.
Yeah, thanks.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that.
I hope I have convinced or converted some people into using their necklaces, using their car keys, using whatever you can find to ask questions, but make sure that you are confirming your yes and your no every single time, to know that you are receiving guidance from somebody specific, relevant, and appropriate, and that your questions are relevant. Because I can promise you, if you're asking, like if you use your pendulum to try and spy on your neighbor, to spy on your partner, you're not going to get accurate answers.
Yeah.
So you can't like check in on people and say, well, what are they up to and where are they and what are they doing? And just, I don't know if we have time, but to talk about maps quickly. So again, when I'm looking for animals, I always ask, where was the animal last seen? And I will go and get a map of that area. And I ask, when I go through my questions, I will ask, is the animal within 50 meters of the original location? Is the animal currently 100 meters, 200 meters, 500 meters, etc., etc.? And then I make the circle bigger. When I get my answer as to how far it is, I will print out a Google map with that dimension, and I will then grid. I'm sure you boys, men generally understand grid system. So I will do some lines down and some, and I'll say that block is A1, that block is A2, that's A3, that's A4, B1, B2, B3, etc. And then I will say, is the cat in A1? Is the cat in A2? And then I hone in. Then when I get a confirmation the cat's in that block, I go to that block and I grid that block again. And I do it, and I keep honing in until I get the exact location. So when I find lost rings and watches and jewelry and wallets and ID books and whatever else, that is my system. I say to people, send me, if they know that they've lost it within their home, I ask them, send me a floor diagram of your home, and I grid it. Is the lost object here? Is the lost object there? So it is a laborious process. It is a time-consuming process, but that's how you get the accurate answers.
Geez, we did an interview of this guy that found some Krugerrands. It's if you want to listen to it, I can't remember which one it is.
I know where you go with that.
the guy got a sangoma to come, and the sangoma dowsed with the wooden rod, and he found the treasure. He found the Krugerrands under the floor.
Yes.
The only thing about that grid system, though, is that if you're looking for a cat and you drive to that,
and the cats move,
he's gone to the 10 blocks to the right or left or wherever.
Exactly. It is a
you should be on your phone and say, okay, currently he is there, go there. So you'll check. No, it's moved. So
it's like, in the old days, we used to drive with the map like out on the dashboard. So you have to have like a dowser next to you with a grid on their lap while you're driving, and like and then this thing swaying all over the place because the car's swaying.
Yeah, exactly. So it's frustrating, especially with dogs and cats and animals, because they have legs, even human beings, somebody like a couple of weeks ago, I had to find somebody who had left their home. They were unfortunately battling with mental issues, and they had walked out of the home, and they were on foot walking the neighborhood. So every time I connected, people went rushing there, and he had moved. So it does happen. It does happen.
Okay, so guys, keep your pets locked away, and your
please,
and your parents locked away as well,
and your parents, and your parents.
I wanted to say something, but I thought it would not be PC, so I just kind of mumbled there.
And keep a track of all your stuff, but otherwise, we do have pendulums that can help us to just receive the guidance, because again, some people spiritually they question their ability to receive from spirit. They question whether they are receiving, whether it is accurate. Whereas when you see a pendulum move, it takes away the doubts and the insecurities, because it's not you doing it, it's the pendulum moving. And I will say, just to end off as well, that I go onto the socials and I see people working with pendulums, but you can see them moving their hand. I roll my eyes so hard in my head at them, because who are they fooling? Who are they conning? Who are they? Only themselves. So when it comes to working with a pendulum, like, as long as you are absolutely certain in your mind that you have not moved that pendulum, you will get an accurate answer. Yeah.
And it's actually quite amazing to see it move. It's just like...
It is. It's fascinating. And the feeling that you get in your hand, because you can feel that pull, as it is spinning, you can feel that pull. And it's amazing, because it also puts you into perspective, realizing how small and insignificant you are amongst, the amazing energies that we do have around us.
Oh,
it's fabulous.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah, I
thank you
definitely
so
want to
much,
get hold
Renee.
of those bloody things that you wrote that you did there. That'd be so nice. We could download them with your logo on there and your institute.
I
And all the
will,
rest.
you know what, even if I don't find my original files, to remake them as quick. So what I will do is maybe I will make some specifically for your channel. Yeah, let's put them up and share with the world. I'm dead happy because you've printed on a paper, and off you go. So maybe what I'll do is I'll create some custom ones for you guys, just for you guys to put on your site for anybody who is interested to go and look.
Yeah, and then
So
obviously
guys,
just have your details there so people can contact
Sure.
you as well with regards to
Yes.
your courses and stuff that you have.
Yes.
Yeah,
So guys,
awesome.
find the links in the show notes, and if they're not there, then Renee didn't get it to
Come
us
back in a
time.
week's time.
Or just contact
Or
her.
message me.
Yes, message
Ah,
Renee.
cool.
Thanks,
How can
guys.
they
Thank
message
you
you?
so much for
How can they
having me.
message you?
Hey?
How can they
No,
message you?
don't do that.
Well, how do they contact you? What's your website?
Intuitiverenee.co.za.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Okay,
easy
awesome. Renee, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Renee.
Thank you. It's always great fun to be with you guys. Sending you lots of love, and see you soon.
Yeah, see you too, Renee.
Thanks,
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Cheers, bye.
Bye. Awesome. I'm going to be practicing with my
I
pendulum
know, that's
again.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to start again myself.
But the
Get my
thing is,
dowsing rods out.
but that's the problem is we deal with so many things. I mean, like for example, now Renee had been chatting about runes and like that chart that she had, and I've got runes. I've had these for the past 30 years that are handmade.
Oh, you haven't lost them either.
No. It's a bag.
Did you also have a pendulum to find that every time it went missing
No.
over the last 30 years?
And it's actually got my
Oh,
runes.
rather little.
It's handmade, and it's got a crystal at
Wow.
the back of each one. And I've had this literally for 30 years.
Did you have that on your desk ready to go? Like for this
It's
episode?
actually on the floor. It's with all my my crystals.
On your
and
altar there?
it's like, yeah, right here. On the
It's kind of weird hearing another man talk about crystals. Like, yeah, it's with my crystals. It's like,
No, but it's not though. It's because we've attuned it to becoming a female thing. But back in Atlantis, it was probably the biggest thing.
it was a masculine thing.
It was a
Now we
masculine.
made it a feminine thing.
Exactly.
Because it's dealing with rocks. It's like
100%.
it's like Indiana Jones back in the. It's like the old Indiana Jones from Atlantis. I'm sure Indiana Jones from Atlantis. He was like with the crystals and.
Yeah. And Earth is supposed to be masculine, where water is feminine. So, yeah.
Okay, but anyway, I've done lots of those crystal healing classes and crystal things, but none of it really resonated. Excuse the pun.
It didn't take. Yeah, that's because you didn't clean. You didn't have it with you, and it didn't build up your energies.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay, well that was cool, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, that's it for this week. From everybody again, thank you for listening to us. And thanks for all the subscribers. You guys are like really subscribing pretty quick now, and that's actually pretty cool. And we'll chat to you guys next week. Thanks, Will.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Cheers, man.
Cheers.